Aotearoa. Welcome to Monday's Economy Watch, where we follow the economic events and trends that affect Aotearoa. I'm David Chaston, and this is the international edition from interest.co.nz. And today we lead with news of a major airplane crash in South Korea, probably due to a bird strike. But in the global economy, the situation is dominated by market fears of what the incoming Trump administration will do. Bond yields are pricing in that risk by raising them to near their highest since 2007. Equity markets are down, with the S&P 500 down 2% since its peak on December the 6th. The Nasdaq is down 2.2% since its peak on December the 16th. Rising bond yields depress bond prices, and some finance professionals think the shift higher has only just begun, and the risk will accelerate as the capricious Trump agenda takes shape. Bond investors are in for steep losses in 2025, they say. The type of flip-flops from Trump, like going from campaigning to banning TikTok to now telling the Supreme Court to leave it alone, from campaigning to ban the H-1B visas to now saying they're essential, mean markets don't trust his positions anymore. They're late to this realisation. And perhaps it mattered little when he was just a candidate, but now he will be in power again, they sense chaos. We should also keep an eye on trade disputes between Canada and the US. A Trump penchant for tariffs on Canadian softwood exports to the US could see a rise in competition in other markets for New Zealand logs and milled pine as a fallout. Meanwhile, US inventories, both retail and wholesale, were little changed in November, but they're likely to rise from here as traders rush to beat the impending tariffs. US exports rose 6% in November compared with the same month a year ago, but US imports are zooming higher on the expectation of those rising tariffs, up 7.3%. That caused a Trump-induced trade deficit of $99 billion in the month, up from $90 billion in the same month a year ago. Across the Pacific, Japanese retail sales rose 2.8% in November from year-ago levels, up from a downward revised 1.3% in October, and easily beating market expectations of a 1.7% gain. This marked the 32nd straight month of expansion in retail sales there, and the fastest growth since August, with rising wages continuing to support consumption there. However, Japanese industrial production fell by 2.3% in November from October, compared with market expectations of a 3.4% fall. The latest result followed a 2.8% growth in October and is the first contraction in industrial output since August. Year on year, the November decline was 2.8%. A dip in machinery orders took the blame. Taiwanese consumer sentiment dipped in December from November, but remains sharply higher from year-ago levels and still in the high recovered range after the low point in late 2022. However, it isn't back yet to pre-pandemic levels. In China, local observers now expect outsized stimulus from Beijing policymakers in 2025. Perhaps that is because Chinese industrial profits fell 7% in November compared to the same month a year ago. Even the Chinese habit of only reporting year-to-date results shows a decline now of 4.4%. So the recent months are coming in weaker than earlier. After peaking in 2021, these profits have fallen each year since. Interestingly, state-owned enterprises, which tend to be very large businesses, are doing the weakest, down 8.4%. Private foreign-owned businesses are doing the least worst, down just 1%. And other private sector businesses are down 4.7%. It is hard to see private investors happy in this environment. China's Commerce Ministry said on Friday that it has launched an investigation into imported beef at the request of representatives from its struggling domestic industry. New Zealand is one source, including through the Silver Fern Farms link, but their main focus is on imports from Brazil and Australia. In Tibet, in an area China controls but is disputed with India, China has just committed to build a vast hydroelectric river dam, so large it is expected to take a decade to finish and then deliver 3 times the output of their famous Three Gorges Dam. But they're damming the Yarling Tsingpo River, which is known as the Brahmaputra River in India and one of India's great rivers. Expect a rise in tension between India and China because of this, although the main impact will be on Bangladesh. In Iran, their currency is under severe pressure and energy shortages are growing. The country is bracing for a spike in civil unrest. And we should also note that coffee prices are soaring again, now higher than all the prior peaks in 2011, 2007 and 1997. Droughts in Brazil and Vietnam are getting the blame. Cocoa prices are staying very high too, and for similar reasons, although they have pulled back a bit since mid-December. The US Treasury 10-year yield is now just on 4.63% and up 2 basis points from Saturday and up 12 basis points from this time last week. It is up from 3.86% a year ago, but most of that is since the November US election. It'll be tough for yield-linked investments like real estate. After hanging on through the pandemic, commercial property values are especially at risk. The sector clean-out could be a feature of 2025 internationally. And the price of gold will start today at $2,620 an ounce and up $6 from Saturday. And oil prices are little changed at just over $70.50 a barrel in the US, while the international Brent price is now just over $74 a barrel. A week ago, these prices were $1 lower. And the Kiwi dollar starts today at 56.4 US cents and up 10 basis points from Saturday. Against the Aussie, we're down 10 basis points at 90.6 Australian cents. Against the euro, we're up 10 basis points at 54.1 euro cents. That all means our trade-weighted index starts today at just on 67 to be up 10 basis points from Saturday and down 10 basis points from this time last week. And the Bitcoin price starts today at $93,747 and down 0.3% from this time Saturday. A week ago it was at $97,137, so down 3.5% since then. Volatility of the past 24 hours has been modest at plus or minus 1.1%. Most of the annual rise in the Bitcoin price has been after the US November election. You can find links to the articles mentioned today in our show notes, and you can get more news affecting the economy in New Zealand from interest.co.nz. Kia ora, I'm David Chaston, and we'll do this again tomorrow.